There's a rule in Bali that locals will tell you very seriously. Never take anything from the sea. Never take anything from the mountains. Because according to Balinese belief, those things don't belong to you. They belong to the spirits of the island. I didn't know that rule when I went to Bali, and something followed me the moment I broke it. This happened a few years ago. I went to Bali with my boyfriend and another couple. So there were 4 of us in total. Instead of staying in a hotel, we decided to rent to private villas. They were beautiful, but they were also very isolated. Both villas were surrounded by tall trees and jungle. And the strange part, they weren't next to each other. They were actually a few minutes apart by motorcycle. During the day, it felt peaceful. At night, it felt very different. The roads around the villas were very dark after sunset. No streetlights, no houses, just long stretches of road with trees on both sides. And if you've ever been to Bali, you'll know the island is very spiritual. Temples everywhere, offerings to spirits every morning, and locals who truly believe the island is shared with the unseen world. One afternoon, we visited a beach. It was beautiful, dark, volcanic sand, huge waves, and almost no people. When the tide went down, the shore was covered in seashells, hundreds of them, maybe thousands. I remember thinking they were so pretty, so I started picking them up. Just a few, 3, maybe 4, small shells. I slipped them into my bag as a souvenir, and honestly, I didn't think anything about it. The sun began to set, and Bali gets dark very quickly after sunset. So we decided to head back to the villas. We were riding motorcycles. My boyfriend was driving. I was sitting behind him, and our friends were riding behind us. The road back cut through fields and trees. It was quiet, just the sound of the engine and the wind. Then suddenly, I heard something. At first, I thought it was the wind, but then it got clearer. It sounded like a woman screaming, not shouting, not talking, screaming. The scream sounded distant, but very real, like someone was crying out in pain. I tapped my boyfriend's shoulder and leaned forward, and I asked him, "Did you hear that?" He paused, just for a moment, then he said quietly,
Yeah.
but he didn't slow down. He didn't turn around. He just kept driving. And suddenly, the road felt very long. When we reached the villa area, we stopped and waited for our friends. When they arrived, I asked them immediately, "Did you guys hear the screaming?" They looked confused. They said, "What's screaming?" They didn't hear anything. At that moment, my boyfriend and I looked at each other, because we both heard it, but the other couple didn't. And suddenly, the villas felt a little too quiet. Our villa was separated from theirs, and honestly, after that road, neither of us felt comfortable staying alone. So we asked if we could stay in their villa for the night. They laughed and said, "Sure." We thought maybe we were just imagining things. Later that night, the 2 guys stayed up watching football. I was tired and went to sleep. The TV light from the living room was the only light in the room, and I fell asleep pretty quickly. But sometime during the night, I suddenly woke up because I felt something. Something was pulling my leg, not hard, but enough to wake me. Half asleep, I thought it was my boyfriend messing with me. So I said, "Stop it." He looked confused and said,
What?
I said, "You were pulling my leg." He shook his head immediately.
I didn't touch you.
I could see him sitting on the couch, next to our friend. Both of them were watching the match. Neither of them had moved. I brushed it off and went back to sleep. But then it happened again. This time, the pull was stronger, like someone grabbing my ankle and tugging. I sat up immediately, and my heart started racing. I asked my boyfriend again, "Was that you?" He looked at me seriously and said,
No.
and suddenly, the room felt very cold. I pulled the blanket over myself and tried to ignore it. Eventually, I fell asleep again. But the next morning, something was very wrong. I woke up with a very high fever. My body was burning. I felt dizzy, weak, like I had caught the flu overnight. But I was perfectly fine the night before. The villa had a cleaner, an older Balinese woman who came every morning. When she saw me lying on the sofa, she looked worried. She asked what happened. And somehow, I mentioned the seashells. The moment I said that, her expression changed. She asked very seriously.
Did you take them from the beach?
I said yes. She shook her head slowly and said something that gave me chills. She said,
In Bali, we do not take things from the sea.
because the sea, the forests, and the mountains are believed to have guardian spirits. And when you take something, sometimes the spirits follow you. She told me very clearly.
You must return them.
So even though I felt terrible, my boyfriend drove me back to the beach. The beach was quiet that morning, cloudy, windy. The waves were loud. I took the seashells out of my bag, placed them back on the sand, and quietly said, I'm sorry. We stayed there for a few minutes. Then we rode back to the villa, and something strange happened. By the time we got back, my fever was almost gone. Within a few hours, I felt completely normal again. Maybe it was coincidence. Maybe it was just a strange illness. But I will never forget the screaming on that road, or the feeling of something pulling my leg. And if you ever visit Bali, remember what the locals say. Take photos, take memories, but never take anything from the island. Because sometimes, the island might follow you back.